Welcome in. Saturday night, which means it's time for ADP Showcase Showdown, brought to you by Triple Play Fantasy, and we start right after this. Oh, baby, I always love that one. Happy Saturday. I am your host for tonight, Jeff Mesha. As always, I'm joined on my right by Mikey. What's going on, brother?
What's happening, man? Another fun night, Saturday night. Got some preseason football in the books. Hey, it's time, man. We're getting there. It's week 0 college football. That starts up next week. It's football season, boys.
Exciting times, my man. And as always, down below, we have my friend Joseph Iarachi. What's happening, man?
Consumer Reports this month released their list of the top frozen pizzas on the market. And I don't remember the bullshit that they said won, but there is a Newman's Own fresh margarita pizza imported from fucking Italy. It says it right on the box. Mama Celeste didn't come from Italy. That's like Jersey. Bruschetta. Newman's Original. Organic margarita pizza imported from Italy. The best pizza, frozen pizza on the market.
Well, glad to hear that, man. I'm sure your commission check is in the mail from them, and lay off the weed before the show starts, Joe. In any case, for those new to the show, we debate two players with similar fantasy draft positions. Mike and Joe will have 2 minutes to make their case for a given player and 1 minute as a rebuttal to the other's argument. Tonight we have Chris Olave and Amari Cooper, and we kick things off. Mike's going to start us off with Mr. Chris Olave. Go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
Okay, we will get this started off right. Chris Olave, he's really fast. He has great hands. I'd say he has a moderate to high ability to separate, and it seemed to get better as the season wore on last year. He started kind of getting a feel for the NFL. The thing I think that got to him the worst was the fact that he had Jameis Winston as the quarterback, which he did really, really good with for the first 4 weeks, but then he lost him after that 4th week and had to downgrade to Andy Dalton. And not to take anything away from Andy Dalton, who had a great career, it was just, unfortunately, we caught him at the end of said career. And with that, he was unable to really get that connection. So I think we got a false look. So really, for me, it's not about how good Olave is. I mean, we saw his metrics. This guy is off the charts as far as everything goes. He had 2 top 20 finishes in the final 10 weeks of the season. Like, I mean, that's pretty amazing just right there to be able to do that with Andy Dalton. And he now has Derek Carr. Derek Carr's coming into this game very, very upset. He did not like what happened to him last year, and he's going to be playing with a huge chip on his shoulder. And so for me, he'll be having to have targets. And sorry about that. With Michael Thomas on the other end, a healthy Michael Thomas on the opposite end, that's going to really open up Olave getting wide open more often, being able to get the ball. So you're going to have, because they're going to have to get defensive capacity moving on towards that piece of the puzzle. So that's going to be another thing that happens or that helps him out and gets him the ball more. So we're looking at volume with a guy who loves to throw the ball, missing Kamara for the first 3 weeks with virtually no running game. And the Saints defense is far from what it used to be. We're talking about a dominant force for years and years and years. But last year you were able to throw against them. You were able to run against them relatively easy. So that's going to set up a lot of situations where they're playing from behind. And therefore you're going to have to pass the ball a whole lot more, open it up to Chris Olave.
All right, well played, Mikey. I like it, and you got it right. You had Jameis Winston, captain interception, and then the red rocket, Andy Dalton. So that interesting guys tossing to him last year in his rookie season. Joe, what do you got against Mr. Chris Olave?
I mean, Olave's up and coming. There's no doubt about it. But I think that the one main thing he has going against him this year is what is really the status of Michael Thomas. Derek Carr is really good at forming these relationships. He's a great teammate. So you've heard a lot about him and Thomas spending some time together since getting into training camp, trying to build that chemistry, that connection that Thomas had with Breeze. So, you're finally going to have a clean, full Michael Thomas year, hopefully. And what does that mean? Because Thomas was a double-digit target guy per week prior to his suspensions and injuries and everything like that. I like Olave, I do. But when you talk about Olave versus Amari Cooper, I really feel like with the offense around Cooper, the quarterback now and everything, I think Cooper's in a better place to succeed.
All right. I mean, no question. I will say Olave is definitely a downfield threat. I was looking at a stat before this. His average depth of target last year was 15 yards. This guy is not exactly a slant guy. He's absolutely the number one over at the Saints, and he's absolutely a downfield threat, so it should be interesting. So Joe, once he finishes his pizza, can kick us off with why he thinks Amari Cooper is the better draft strategy. Joseph, when you're done chewing and ready, let's kick it off, brother.
So I'll tell you something right now. The number one frozen pizza on the market says this. 5 years ago, we would not have wanted to be on the Amari Cooper side of this conversation or this argument. Not even a few years ago. But I think at this point, Cooper's in a really great position to keep going and carry the momentum from last year and be even better this year. He's going to have Deshaun Watson for a whole season. We've all beaten that to a dead horse. We know that he didn't have Deshaun Watson until week 12 or 11 or whatever it was last year. Donovan Peoples-Jones has spent the last couple of years coming on. He's a legit target, as is Elijah Moore that Cleveland has now. And I just think it's a great combination. Moore is your speed guy. Peoples-Jones is a deep threat. And then you have Cooper coming in with your size, with your red zone targets. He had 7 weeks last year where he was in double-digit targets. I expect them to be right around the same this year, then a couple of 9 weeks. So really, half the season, if not more, he was at 9 or double-digit targets. I love the 9 touchdowns last year. I think that only has the opportunity to go up. And, they're playing in a very competitive division, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati. Maybe not Pittsburgh, but as far as Cincinnati and Baltimore goes, that's 4 games where they're going to have to score some points to win those games. That obviously benefits Amari Cooper also. And I think this is the right offense for him. With Dallas, it was a lot of hit or miss. I think each week he's going to have the opportunities here. As long as he doesn't get the dropsies again like he has in the past or whatnot, I expect Cooper to have a really solid, fantasy wide receiver, low 1, high 2 type season.
I like.
God damn.
I like it, man. I like it, man. I tell you. That must be the pizza. So, counter to that, Mike, what do you got against Cooper?
Okay, so I'm going to say 8, 6, 9, 13. Those are the fantasy points Amari Cooper scored for you last year when you were doing your playoff push or when you were in the playoffs. This man has done one thing consistently in fantasy football, and that is being consistent. Exactly. Every single week you try to put this guy in your lineup, he puts up a stinker. So you put him on your bench and he goes off. There is not a fantasy player in the game, in my opinion, more frustrating to own than Amari Cooper. I've tried this several times and it is a hurricane of emotions. He will get you right there. I mean, especially week 1. Week 1, Amari Cooper, always play him in DFS. He's always had a solid week 1. But week 2, if there's a way you can bet against him getting any fantasy points, that's the one you want to take because he'll always get nothing the week 2. And then it's a toss-up after that. Now you're playing catch-up on week to week. Add in a Deshaun Watson where they're talking about Dorian Thompson. Dorian Thompson, I think he's got another name in there. Dorian Thompson-Jones, I believe, is going to be able to take over that spot. So we even have question marks about the quarterback in that position. So Give me Olave. Give me the up and comer. Great points on that one, Mike. I will say both of you guys have some interesting points, some pros and cons. The X factor in both of these situations, I believe, is going to be the quarterback.
situation. You got, Carr coming into a new team, new offense. You got Deshaun Watson having his first full season with Cleveland. Cooper, he had some ups and downs. He did have, Jacoby Brissett. I get it. He had Watson at the end of the season. So great points by both of you guys. I will say this for Cooper, he's been like captain consistency. He's been anywhere from the start of his career in 2015 until last season. He's been anywhere from 13.3 to 15.4 in PPR points per season. So the guy is just always kind of steady Eddie on that one. I think the home run bid is probably Olave. So, but that's up for people to decide in their drafts. And those are great points by you guys. I really appreciate the time. And any parting words here, gentlemen?
I think you're right about the quarterback thing in both these situations. Like, let's be honest, Chris Olave is not Devontae Adams. So we don't know for sure that Derek Carr is going to go in there and light it up with him and Thomas. You think he should, but he's shown to be a little inconsistent. And Deshaun Watson, let's be honest, did not look very good last year. Now everybody's banking, having a full preseason, getting reacclimated, really learning the offense, all of that happy horse shit. But in the end, he's got to go on and he's got to be better on the field than he was last year once he did come. So you're right. It's really going to be driven by the quarterback play. And these are two guys who have shown spurts of being able to be really good, but have also had their moments of not being very good either, especially from a fantasy perspective.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. I do like the fact that Watson does have a full season or a full chair coming off this season, but I agree with you. It did not look like he had a comprehension of the game. It wasn't even about the fact that he had missed time or anything like that. He looked sloppy and he looked slow. It didn't look like what the suspension created. It looked like what his mental attitude created. And that's what scares me about Deshaun Watson. And like I said, and that's why you're seeing a lot of people start making the switch. I mean, if you look on Sleeper right now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, sorry, that's his name. He's fifth up on trending, because a lot of people are grabbing this guy because they saw the writing on the wall with this preseason. And that guy's pretty damn good, and he's going to be able to throw the ball around. But, Amari Cooper, like I said, I love the guy. It's just, gosh damn, he's hard to own. He is hard to own on your fantasy team. He's a headache.
$140 million worth of opportunities. That's for sure.
Yep.
Well, hey, great points by you guys. There's a lot to chew on. This is a big week. Most of the drafts are coming up this week, so it's really important. I hope everybody took something away from this, not just frozen pizza points and where to get. We'll put it up there again. Why not? So
that's a fresh.
I'll tell you, it'll be a sponsorship next week. We're going to be going live for that one come next Saturday. So for Mike and Joe, I am Jeff. I appreciate you guys spending time with us. We will see you next Saturday. Until next time, we've got you covered.